Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs Podcast. It's a 3-1 win for the Cubs over the Tigers. Luke Stuckmeyer here. Cody Del Mendo will join us in just a minute. And then Ryan Herrera from beautiful, historic Wrigley Field before the podcast is hopefully over as well. Big night at Wrigley Field, obviously. First time back for Javy Baez, the 2016 World Series champion. A fan favorite for a lot of fans out there. For what he did in 2016 and afterwards, and just one of the most electric players in Cubs history for a time. And then you see what's happened to his career. It's really hard to watch. 4 strikeouts tonight, including to end the game against Porter Hodge in this one as the Cubs win 3-1. Dansby Swanson comes up with a home run. Bellinger comes up with a big double. And the Cubs get just enough to help Javier Assad in this game as they get through it. And Assad did his job as well. So we're going to talk a lot about what happened in the game. We're going to talk a lot about Javy. We're going to hear from Javy. We'll hear from Jed Hoyer as well, talking about Javy Baez. And hello to everybody in the live YouTube chat. I see you there. We're already scrolling through. It's moving pretty quickly tonight. Becky's here. Justin's here. Nick G. Make sure you subscribe to the CHGO Sports YouTube page, because that's the best way to really enjoy the experience of what we do. You can comment live in the comment section and be part of the show. That's what we appreciate. But we also have some big news for you just today. This is right off the press, right? We are now on Roku. This is big news for CHGO. We've had it kind of brewing for a while. We've been doing a test run. We are live on Roku nationwide. This isn't just in Chicago. So you can tell your neighbors, you can tell your relatives that live out of town, you can tell your friends that moved out of the Chicago area but still want Cubs content. You can now see us nationwide on Roku as well. So if you've got a Roku stick or Roku box or the Roku app, go ahead and search CHGO Sports. It's that simple, okay? You're going to see us 24/7. Our content will be 24/7 on that CHGO Sports page of Roku, the Roku page. Most of the shows will be live, okay? So I'd say the majority of the shows will be live. We'll also have some best of content when we don't have live shows going on. You know, if it's 4 o'clock in the morning, there won't be a live show going on, but there might be a recap of a great show. There might be some evergreen shows. There might be Cole Kmet's 85 podcast from this week on there. There'll be lots of Chicago sports content, not just the Cubs. It'll be the Blackhawks, the White Sox. You'll have Bulls content on there, everybody. So obviously the Bears guys, and that's going to be huge this season for Bears fans too. This is not an app on Roku, okay? It's physically on their channel of content. Check us out. All of the ALLCITY networks are on the Roku channel starting right now. So while you're there, by the way, hit that asterisk that is on there when you're in Roku and save CHGO to one of your favorites so you don't miss it. And boom, you can click that in favorites and it'll go right to it. It's really exciting news for us. I don't know if you saw the news earlier this week. We've had an expansion. We're expanding to Dallas. So we've got Philly, we've got Phoenix, we've got Denver, we've got Chicago, and now Dallas. And we hope to have a couple more coming up within the next calendar year. Just exciting times at CHGO. And we have to thank you guys, first of all, because we wouldn't be doing any of this without your support. Everybody that's in live YouTube chat, I see DFW Susie has joined. Yep, DFW Susie. There's going to be a Dallas network coming in the very, very near future. That is almost ready to launch, and that's getting ready to go. But like I said, there's more coming. We had exciting news over the last couple days. Another big investor. So if you thought CHGO was going away, you were wrong. We are here and we are full force, just like ALLCITY. So exciting times at our network right now. And listen, these people wouldn't be investing, and we wouldn't be able to expand to these other markets, and we wouldn't be on Roku, and we wouldn't be on YouTube. None of this would happen without all the crazies out there, all of our diehards that are watching. And while you're at it, sign up to be a diehard. You don't want to miss all the stuff. Like Ryan Herrera is at the ballpark tonight. He's going to have great stuff from Javy Baez. He's going to have written articles. He's got videos, all of that stuff. You don't want to miss out. So be a diehard. And then, of course, you've got the Bears tailgates coming up. We're going to have a tailgate for every home game this season. It's discounts to all that. It's 20% off all the merch all the time. It's 20% off all the takeovers and watch party. All of that stuff is discounted. So make sure you're getting lined up. And here he is, the man, the myth, the legend, Cody Delmendo has joined the podcast tonight. A 3-1 win for the Cubs. Cody, I was just telling everybody the great news about Roku, right? And that's obviously huge news for us. We're excited about that. And I saw Cody on Twitter saying, "Hey, it's another place for me to give my thoughts, my hot takes," right?
Yeah, everyone now gets to hear all my bad takes on television instead of just YouTube, Luke. I mean, how blessed are these people watching right now?
Very blessed, yeah.
Like, if you're going to wake up tomorrow and be like, man, I get to watch Cody and Luke not only on YouTube, but also on my television.
Yeah.
I get, like, Roku is so easy to use that even people like older than you, Luke, they even know how to use Roku,
Right. My mom doesn't get the YouTube. My mom doesn't understand YouTube, but I'm going to get a Roku now.
Exactly. So like now it's like, now we're bringing in all the audiences that I wasn't sure if we were actually getting beforehand because technology is hard for our older generations, but now everyone's going to get to hear all my bad takes. What a time it is to be alive.
It is super exciting. Listen, this game was exciting. We had it kind of circled on our calendars at the beginning of the season saying this is Javy's first time back since the trade. And, Javy's a guy that was drafted by the Cubs in 2011. Everybody knows that he's electric, and everybody knows it didn't end the way he wanted it to. He was probably close to having a multi-year deal with the Cubs had COVID not hit. And when it did, it changed the Cubs' plans. And now Javy got a deal, which I'm glad he got. He's taking care of his family, and he's in Detroit, but things just have not gone well. What did you think of the celebration before the game for Javy Baez, the video board and all that? It was hard to watch him. I thought he was going to just break down crying.
I mean, I thought the video the Cubs put together was great. I watched it on Marquee. I was wondering if the Cubs were going to tweet a video out or not. I don't think they did, but the video that Marquee showed of the video board at Wrigley Field, I was watching at the time and was able to see, and I thought it was, as good as they could have. And we question this organization about the product on the field and all that stuff all the time, but the one thing they are consistently good at is putting those types of things together, and the game day experience, all that stuff I think is great. So as far as that, all of that stuff with Javy Baez was, we've talked about him a lot, I feel like, over these last handful of years, but more so in kind of a negative way, not necessarily on him, but just he's statistically the worst shortstop in baseball, since he started with the Tigers. And it's so bad that I feel bad for the guy, and I wish that he wasn't playing this bad. And I'm sure he had that. I'm sure he had today circled on the calendar going into the year as well. And he struck out 4 times tonight. I'm sure it's terrible for him. I'm glad that he didn't get a base hit in the 9th inning off Porter Hodge to make it a 1-run game or even hit one out. But it's just been that bad for him. So I know he's been hurt a lot this year too. I hadn't realized that he hadn't even played 100 games this season, but I just thought the overall, what the Cubs did for him and everything was awesome. And I wouldn't expect anything less. He's a legend in the city. It doesn't matter how bad he's been with Detroit. He helped the Cubs win the World Series. He's beloved here. There's a street sign named after him somewhere in the city. He's the NLCS MVP or co-MVP with John Lester. He had a big part in the success, of the greatest success era of this franchise's history that we all have at least seen, and it's a sad downfall, but I'm interested to see what the Tigers do this offseason. They're trying to go a little bit younger. I'm I'm curious if they eat that contract and, just kind of split ties, because it's really been that bad to where it's like it's almost worth just like eating that money, and hopefully he finds a fresh start. I'm not saying the Cubs should be that team to, bring him back and see if they can, fix him. But I'm saying that I truly want him to have a better back end of his career, because he was that good. We've talked about it before, Luke, like him and Tim Anderson were on Sports Illustrated cover.
Yeah.
And they were touted as like the faces of baseball. And like we make jokes about Tim Anderson because he was the White Sox, but I mean, it's been just as bad for Javy Baez, man. Like it really is a sad downfall. So I was happy to see that he was able to, have something to feel good about tonight, because, it doesn't matter how bad he's been. Like he grew up here. I think they talked about in the broadcast. He grew up here in Chicago and, helped complete something that no one thought ever would happen. And then he went on to even have better years and, was in the MVP race in 2018, had a great season 2019 as well. And, we all know how it plays out, but
yeah, I mean, for the people that are, again, I don't tell anybody how to Cub or fan or all that stuff, but I do really believe that if you were there laughing and satisfied and happy that he was swinging at sliders out of the zone all night, I mean, if you want to be miserable all the time, go ahead and be miserable. Mm-hmm. But I will tell you this, he's not the greatest player or even one of the all-time greats in Cubs history, but he is unquestionably one of the most exciting. Now, maybe one of the most disappointing when it was all said and done too, but you don't win that World Series without Javier Baez. I can tell you that much. That much is for sure. And I don't think I've ever, even Sammy, I can't say made more electric plays than Javier Baez. Well, whether it was base running or tags or home runs in the postseason, like Javy is about as lit as they get, right? Like he's got the Riz. Everybody loved Javy until he just couldn't lay off that slider, and that's been his downfall. But I'll always think of the good times that he had. As a reporter, he was good day, bad day. He was one of the nicest guys in the clubhouse. And, that might not mean much to most people, but I guarantee you it says a lot about a guy, because guys don't have to talk when they're feeling bad. I remember going out to Club 400 and waiting and talking to Javy, and Kelly Kroll and I did a thing with him there. And, he's very genuine. He signs autographs for everybody. He truly appreciates what this city thinks of him. And I hope he doesn't see some of the negative stuff that's out there right now. A guy strikes out 4 times. He knows his season's not going well. He knows the stuff that's gone wrong, but let's not forget the Cubs don't win the World Series without Javier Baez. And there was a time where Javier Baez, every second of everything he did on the field was jaw-dropping. Just jaw-dropping, right? Like the play in Pittsburgh where he's got guys throwing the ball all over the place. I mean, that, and then the home run in the NLCS and the home run in Game 7. You just don't just toss him aside because it didn't end well. Don't toss aside Chris Bryant because it didn't end well. Let's appreciate what they did. We're going to hear from Javy in a second. We're also going to hear from Jed Hoyer in a second. We want to get to all that in just a moment. But first, want to tell you about our friends at Circa Sportsbook. What do I say? Always tight money line splits. You heard me. Tight money line splits. Games will strive to be at a -110 split on Circa Sports menu, unlike other sports books, which may use -115 or -120. Now, Circa Sports keeps as little money as possible on large market bets. For example, futures, golf bets, tournaments, especially compared to the other books out there. High app limits, transparency. Circa Sports does not limit players based on their winnings. Every player has the same limits, unlike other books who do limit winning players. Good news for Cody Delmendo, who's always winning on their app. We encourage bettors to download and explore all sports betting apps available. Compare the lines. Go ahead. Check out the other sports books. You'll find out. Circa's customer care service, they're real people. The real people behind the Circa Sports brand who resolve issues in a timely fashion, unlike other books and chatbots. Listen, chatbots are one of the worst things that ever happened to us. All aspects of the app are being run by the same team that runs the main Circa Sportsbook at Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. Download the Circa Sports Illinois app at circasports.com/Illinois-app to sign up today. Also be on the lookout for Circa events, watch parties, and tailgates. They're with us for all the Friday 120 games, and we have a good time with them. If you know somebody who may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537. Text GAMB. That's 82833-234, or visit areyoureallywinning.com.
Got a couple games left here at Wrigley Field before the Cubs go on the road to Miami. So you might want to head on to Game Time to get some tickets. I used Game Time to go to the game on Sunday and sat in the grandstand for once. I didn't sit in the bleachers for once.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I had a backrest. It was kind of nice. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great deals, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Again, I went to the game on Sunday. It was brutal in terms of the result from the Cubs, losing 1-0, and it was just it was like what we always say, Luke. We've done this post-game show at least 50 times this year. But the experience, the experience, the vibes, it was great. And the thing was you got to see on Game Time your seats, and it was like on Game Time itself, it said the seats that we ended up getting, they were like the best deal that you could get. So it tells you that when you're getting a good deal or not. And I think that's really cool, because sometimes you might feel like that those seats aren't worth that, but if other sites aren't selling it at that price, then it's almost like they are telling you that. So yeah, Game Time just makes it super easy, man. Game Time Picks, the curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, and theater, and more. Toggling that feature, the all-in pricing feature, shows up the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. You get seat views, as in a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. So again, it shows you exactly where you will be sitting, and I think that's incredibly important, especially for Wrigley Field with all those poles around. And they will guarantee you the lowest price, or they will credit you 110% of the difference. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem with code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
Oh, yeah. Cliff Livingston used to do that for the Bulls, and that was epic around here. Chicago Bulls fans back in the day certainly remember that. What time is it? Game time. Woo. Yeah. Hey, so we had Javier. We talking about Javy Baez. Cubs win 3-1. We do have some sound. Ryan was at the ballpark tonight. Hopefully he can join us before the end of the hour. This is just a quick clip of Javy answering a question, I believe, from Ryan about the 2016 season. And Sarah's running the 1s and 2s. She's going to play it for us.
Probably every day, to be honest. I got a tattoo of the trophy, so that's always going to be special. I still got the ring. I always try to take it everywhere so nobody steal it. But it's always there, always on my mind, and I always try to remember that year.
That was the question, I believe, was how often do you think about the 2016 championship? Somehow Bruce Levine found his way into our shot right in the back.
Yeah. Credit
Ryan
to him.
Didn't have center cut on this one, so we got a little Bruce Levine in the background. And now we also have some I don't know what this sound is, to be honest with you. Jed Hoyer talking about Javy Baez before the game tonight, and I think what the Cubs did was really good. So let's hear what Jed had to say before the game.
I mean, honestly, I love watching Javy play here. actually went over there to say hi to him and talk to him. I really enjoyed our relationship. I mean, favorite moments, kind of random ones. I mean, I feel like, his home run in Game 1 against the Giants. Obviously the massive bat flip and the ball went in the basket. But that was such a big moment, such a big game for us. Given the fact that we were trying to beat a veteran team that had a lot of success, that was one. One random memory I have of him, I always just thought his fearlessness was his greatest attribute. He has any moment he didn't care. He wanted the big stage, and I remember, I think it was against I think it was Hunter Pence, but the last out of one of those games, he just was so casual. The last out, he just ran through it, one hand, flicks it to first. I'm like, oh God, can you just break down, field it normally? But he just never had any concern about failing, and I think that's really what made him successful in those big moments, was that he was fearless. And then obviously he's not here today, but I remember sitting with Jeff Greenberg and watching that, whatever you want to call the play in Pittsburgh. But I mean, that's one of those moments I'll never forget. For better or for worse, you don't see something truly you've never seen before very often in the big leagues, and that was one. And then also just the guy we traded him for with Pete, it's there was just so many times where it felt like we used to say he's invisible, he just run, and somehow the end result would be safe. And I've never seen anything like that in all of my time in baseball. That Javy's ability to just somehow run and somehow matrix his body in a way to be safe. And he's a special player and a special entertainer. And I don't like the way this chapter of his career has gone for him. I know he's struggled, and I have super fond memories of him. He helped us win a lot of games here, and as a result, I think he'll always be a fan favorite, as he should, and I hope the fans give him an awesome ovation.
I guarantee one thing, Cody, you will see Javy Baez jerseys at Wrigley Field for decades. Because a lot of people bought Baez jerseys, and they will hang on to those, especially because they have a lot of them have the World Series patch on them, right?
Yeah. I have the alternate blue uni that has Baez on the back, and then when they played in the Little League Classic or whatever they call that game, the Yankees and the Tigers did it on Sunday. When they played in that, I think in 2019, they had a specialized jersey for that. It says Cubbies across it. It says El Mago on the back. It's one of my favorite ones. I never wear it, but it's an awesome jersey. But yeah.
You mentioned the end of the game, the fourth strikeout, and a guy on base, and I was like, I'll be honest with you. Did I want the Cubs still to win the game? Yes. Yeah. But did I want Javy to get it? Would I have been totally okay with Javy getting a base hit to at least make it really interesting and get the crowd just let him have his moment? They don't need to win the game, but let him have his moment. I'd have been okay. I would have been okay with that too. And I think the season's over anyway. Yeah. So Javy tying the game also, I wasn't rooting for it, but it would have been epic. I'll just say that.
As someone who still has some delusional hope, I would have been okay if he hit a homer. Okay. It's been that bad for him, man. And before the break, you said something it ended bad with him and Brian. I don't think it ended bad with them. I know they almost had the contract extension or whatever before the pandemic. And, maybe because.
No, I just mean their career, not here. I just mean their careers have just. For two guys,
they left, but it wasn't
they were Cubs Hall of Famers. They still probably are Cubs Hall of Famers when they do that,
Yeah, I just don't think that their careers had not fallen apart by the time the Cubs had traded them. There's a reason why so many people were angry. I went back to the tweet that the Cubs sent back on July 30th, 2021, announcing of the trade that they had traded him for and Trevor Williams for Pete Crow-Armstrong. I went back to that tweet today, and all the replies are just angry people. Yeah. And it's actually really funny just because the trade is it's completely flipped. I mean, it's an absolute fleece job by the Cubs against the Mets because PCA is going to be a dog one day. But the point is that he was still at that point, even though I felt like he was starting to trend down, I still thought I didn't think he was going to fall down this far. So Like I still thought he had at least another 3 to 5 year stretch of being a really good baseball player. But it's not even average. He's legitimately been awful. And it's so bad that it's sad now. It's like you say the same thing about Chris Bryant, and so like I just there was some replies to a few tweets that I sent from CHGO Cubs today of people just kind of like, anyone who thinks that they shouldn't have made that trade doesn't know anything or whatever. And it's just like, just put all of that aside for one day, for 3 days, put all of that aside and just be happy. The fact that a guy that was a franchise player for you for a handful of years is coming back for the first time, finally. And we all get to give him the standing ovation he deserves, and he gets his flowers, and like, it's a nice moment, man. It should be the same thing when Rizzo comes back. And I guarantee you there won't be any people who have any slander or negative things to say because he's Anthony Rizzo. But as far as Javier Baez, like, we know that trade is a fleece job by Jed Hoyer. Absolutely. But at the same time, like, he was a franchise player here, and like, just put all that shit to the side for a couple days. It's genuinely been that bad for Javy Baez.
Cody, I don't get it. Like, the people that are angry about Javier Baez are like most overrated player. Like, the Cubs fans that have turned on him and Bryant, I just don't get it.
I don't either.
Rizzo doesn't get any of it, and that's the way it should be. But none of them should get it. I don't understand why Rizzo's return will be different than Baez. Baez was here longer than even Rizzo was.
Right.
He was drafted by the Cubs.
Mm-hmm.
He's your homegrown star. He was on pace, I thought, to win an MVP that season.
Yeah.
Was it 17 or 18?
2018.
2018. He was on pace to be an MVP.
Yeah.
So
runner up.
Any of those trades could have gone really, really badly.
Sure.
Like, you could have traded one of your core guys, and it would have been, Schwarber's probably the most regrettable one now, just letting him walk away. But any of them could have looked really, really badly. Matt McIntyre in the live YouTube chat says, Luke, don't love hearing the quit in your comments. Fine to be realistic, but declaring things over is a buzzkill. That's why they
Where have you been, Matt?
Buzzkill.
Where have you been, Matt? Have you not been here the last 2 months?
Did you not know that my name is Luke Buzzkill Stuckmeyer? I've been saying it for like a month and a half. This season's over.
I'm surprised Luke hasn't brought in his own squirt bottle to spray me whenever I get delusional.
I mean, Buzzkill accepted. I can't argue with it. I am a buzzkill sometimes. I've seen too much of it.
Yeah.
Seen too much of it.
I mean, related to what you're saying, though, I'm sure we have to do another break here in a minute. But like with Rizzo, when he left, there was definitely more drama behind that. Him going on the radio, basically calling out the team and everything. There was a lot more drama behind that. We can talk about that more on, going into that series when the Yankees come to town. But like, as much as I love Rizzo, and this isn't slander at all, but he definitely doesn't get nearly as much pushback as Baez and Bryant do. And to me, again, like you said, I don't think any of them deserve it, but there's certainly some stuff that Riz deserves as well if you're going to give it to Javy and Bryant as well. But again, I don't think that you should send any slander to any of them. They were great Cubs.
That's it. No. Hey, we're going to talk about tonight's game in a second, but first, our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by more than 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames, crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. In fact, you'll probably find one in Cubs colors. I know you can because I have some. In fact, I'll be wearing some of my, not just one, some of my Shady Rays Friday at the big CHGO Kickoff Classic we have at Cog Hill, our second golf event of the summer, our second time we've been out to Cog Hill. Listen, I lose the ball in the rough. Boom, not anymore. Polarized shades, the white ball comes at you in 3D. It's flying off the grass. And then I know where I'm going to hit my next shot to, right to the rough on the other side. But I can find it because of my shady rays. Plus, if your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you don't love your shades, exchange them for a new pair. Return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. And exclusively for our listeners here at CHGO right now, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use the code CHGO for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by more than 300,000 people. If you got the shades on and you're feeling good and you're vibing and you got the Riz and the summer's lit and everything's good, you know what you're missing? The perfect cooler. Rugged Road, dedicated to creating innovative and durable outdoor gear for adventurers who demand the best. Our products are designed with the highest quality materials and craftsmanship, ensuring they perform in the toughest conditions. Whether you're on the land or on the water, Rugged Road gear is built to accompany you on every adventure. Here's the first thing, floatability. One of the most unique features of Rugged Road coolers, their ability to always float upright. You never lose a drink. You're in a kayak, you're okay. Have that cooler, you flip over, boom, it's still going to be fine. Here's where I say tubing. I used to go tubing down the Guadalupe River near Austin. Ryan went like a year ago. You got those tubes. You're tied up to your friends. You're having a few, you're having a few blue moons. You're floating down the river. Listen, you don't want to drop the cooler. The cooler's got to stay upright. The beverages have to stay upright. That's key. Lightweight design, unlike other heavy-duty coolers, Rugged Road coolers are incredibly light, and they're crafted to handle the toughest environments. Their coolers are built to last, ensuring they can keep up with any adventure. The coolers are guaranteed to keep their contents cool for up to 7 days, but oftentimes much longer than that. Versatility, too. Perfect for a variety of outdoor activities from fishing and tubing to camping, tailgating. These coolers designed for everything outdoors. So gear up for your next adventure with Rugged Road coolers. Reliable, durable, and built to be used. Rugged Road is your ultimate outdoor companion. Head to ruggedroadoutdoors.com and use the code CHGO for 10% off. You heard me right. CHGO for 10% off. We got all those tailgates coming up, folks. Everybody's going to want to tailgate at a Bears game. What do you need? You need a Rugged Road full of Blue Moon.
Only a Blue Moon.
Only Blue Moon. We got quite a few people chatting it up today. A lot of different opinions. I think a lot of people have said, it was tough to watch the way Javy is playing baseball now. It's just not the way you want to remember him as a baseball player. Yeah. I won't. Because I don't watch Tigers games, so I don't need to see it. Sure, I'll remember some swinging at sliders out of the zone, and I might remember tonight's game, but that's not what I'm going to remember. What I will remember about tonight's game is Javy had a chance to do something special at the end, but the Cubs still won 3-1, keeping Cody's hopes alive that they somehow can get back in this third wild card spot, that they can hang on and somehow get to the postseason and bring the magic back, just like 2016, just like 2017, just like 2015. I know. It's tough.
Okay, you're going a little over the board there. I never said this team's going to the World Series. I just want to get
the magic. Bring back the magic, though, Cody. What about the Ass Man tonight, huh?
The Ass Man looked like two like April, May Ass Man.
Right. Today. 4 of his last 5 starts prior to this, he hadn't lasted 5 innings. Tonight, 5 and beyond, 5 2/3, just 1 run.
Yeah, 7 strikeouts. Out of trouble.
That's
and he only had 1 walk. The inning he gave up the leadoff triple, struck out the side right after that, and then he was pumped up coming off the mound. That was prime Ass Man. That was like 2023 Ass Man. I felt like seeing in the most important games of last season. That he wasn't the reason they missed the playoffs last year. I thought he was a clutch piece for them in the second half of last year, and I felt like he was okay in Cleveland. I felt like he could have gone 5, but Craig pulled him early because of a matchup situation. But almost went 6 today. Could have gone 6 if that ground ball to Hoerner didn't eat him up. It was hit pretty hard, but so he could have gone 6. This isn't slander to Hoerner. Hoerner had 2 incredible defensive plays tonight. But yeah, I thought Assad was great. And like this is where we're at with this roster, this team. Like they need Assad to be able to somehow at least give them 5 every night moving forward, because you're getting solid. You're getting solid performance from Shota. Steele's going to go on Wednesday after his start getting rained out basically on Saturday. You got Tyone tomorrow, who's kind of struggled of late, but overall this year he's been fine. And again, to me, like I was going to say this, if we talked about the game outside of Javi at the beginning of the show, to me, they got to go 5-1 this week. They are allowed 1 loss this week for me. They got to, I think it could possibly be easier to sweep the Marlins than the Tigers, because I think the Tigers are a competitive bunch. They're just a few games under 500, just like the Cubs. And they play in a really good division this year. So, I would like to win this series. Now, if they sweep the Tigers, it'd be great. They have to sweep some teams if there's a chance. But I think I'm allowing 1 loss this week, and I was pretty deflated after Sunday's game, because after getting swept by the Guardians, you felt like they just had to sweep the Blue Jays, and they didn't. Worst case scenario happens for that week. You go 2-4. The Braves take 3 out of 4 against the Giants, and then they win a series against the Angels too. So you went from 3 games back to 5.5 back. I haven't looked at the scoreboard tonight, but everyone knows I'm scoreboard watching. And I know a lot of people aren't anymore, but let me be who I am. All right. But yeah, I mean, for anyone who still has any hope, I guess for me, it's like I'm affording 1 loss, and if you lose the next 2, I'll call it before they even go to Miami. I don't think they can even lose a series this week. It's at that point. I got a couple fingertips on the cliff right now, ready to just fall, but I will say that there were some exciting things related to the future tonight, and like Porter Hodge closing the game out.
I was going to say, how about our friend of the show, Porter Hodge?
Yeah, Porter Hodge came on the show, and then he just decided to go and shove it. I'm just saying. I know, like, that's just, you come on CHGO Cubs and you become awesome. That's just what it is, okay? But I was surprised to see Craig Counsell give Porter Hodge the opportunity to close the game. And, he gave up the leadoff double, but then he shut it down, and he's done that before. In
got a nice call that was helpful.
Sure. But
we'll take it.
The pitch before that, though, could have easily been a strike as well.
Agreed.
So it was actually like you called that a strike, but you didn't call the pitch before a strike. Yeah. Whatever.
I mean, the robots. Right.
Robot umpires, please. But yeah, I thought Hodge looked great. And, with Neris now DFA'd, I thought they were going to go with Lopez as the guy, but I am intrigued to see how Hodge does the rest of the year, whether it matters or not, whether games matter or not. I've always said the best case scenario is if the Cubs can develop their own closer. I've always said that, and I truly believe that. I don't know if Hodge is that guy, but he has some of the best stuff that they have in this bullpen. He was painting 97-mile-an-hour fastballs on the edges. They haven't had a guy like that.
He's got a spot in the bullpen no matter what. That's
sure,
what I'm thinking.
Absolutely.
He may not be the closer, but he can be an important piece. Cody, how about the graphic they showed on Marquee, which was just, I mean, we know it, but it's shocking to see it up there. The opening day bullpen.
Yeah.
And now the bullpen now who's left. It's only Smiley and Merriweather. And Merriweather's basically been out
all
the whole
season. Yeah. So just Smiley.
Pretty much Smiley's the only guy left in the bullpen.
Which, by the way, like, I know a lot of us kind of just, someone mentions Drew Smiley and we just kind of roll our eyes, but like, low key, he's been awesome. I still can't believe they couldn't find a team to trade him to at the deadline. I'm still surprised they couldn't, but he came out in the 8th inning. I know it's the Tigers. I understand it's the Tigers. Again, they are a competitive team though. It's not like they're 20 games under 500. They do have some guys in that lineup, in my opinion. but Smiley going out there in the 8th inning, and getting a clean 8th inning. Like, I know it's he's not a young guy, but like the bullpen's just been awesome. Him and Tyson Miller were great again tonight. So, yeah, but I think Porter Hodge for sure, just huge. But yeah, their bullpen has been, the biggest thing with this team going into next year is they need to make sure this bullpen is there's some sort of like, we know what we're going to get out of at least half of them. You know what you're going to get out of at least half of them. And this year it was like, well, can ALLCITY do what he did last year? Can he also be healthy? Leiter Jr., I felt like we probably had the most confidence in. Merriweather was like, well, you did it for 1 year. Can he do it for 2? And I feel like with this bullpen now, I feel like there's at least a little bit more ease. Like Jorge Lopez has been an all-star. That's if they bring him back. He's a free agent at the end of the year. But Jorge Lopez has been an all-star, Tyson Miller he's been really good all season. Merriweather unfortunately hurt this year, so it's hard to tell. But we're going to see Jack Neely at some point, and Hodge has been great, and he's a guy who came up through your system, so I'm optimistic about him. It's all about like who's going to be the closer for this team, I think, and if you can get solid contributions from the rest that lead up to that spot, they'll be fine. I feel like they're really good at that, but like they got to find the closer, man. And so I'm not saying that Hodge is the closer, but it was exciting to see him go out there and do it. Second career save.
We're going to find out more about this from Ryan in a second. I did have one question for you, Cody. What was your favorite part of the Hector Neris era?
When he almost blew the save against arguably the worst team of all time, or at least that me and you have ever seen, and then went post-game and said that he's the best. That was my favorite part of the Hector Neris era. That's a confidence that I don't think anyone has. Only some people who are built different can have that kind of confidence, Luke Stuckmeyer. Only some people.
That's right. Yeah. Hector Neris, moment of silence. The era is over.
Can we bring up the PCA clip of him pouring the water?
Heart attack Hector. He is gone.
Yeah.
Never nervous Neris.
Were you surprised to hear the news this morning?
I was surprised. I'm surprised they walked away from it.
Same. So I'm a little confused. Are they just eating the money? It doesn't change the luxury.
I know he cleared waivers. I believe they're going to have to eat the money. That's what I assume. Yeah.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I don't care about them having to eat the money or whatever. I know a lot of people have been talking about the Cubs going over the luxury tax. Corey and Brennan talked about it a ton on Sunday's podcast. And that was something that we all thought that they weren't. It's something we've talked about all season. Mismanagement, blah, blah, blah. It's a lot of just confusion behind that. But as far as them cutting ties with Neris, I was surprised too. But I feel like he's going to be gulped in with guys like Kevin Gregg and LaTroy Hawkins and Antonio Alfonseca when we talk about some of the worst relievers of our times of the last 2 decades. And he's had a great career. And those other guys, maybe Hawkins had a solid career too.
There we go.
But I just, it was, the Cubs didn't use him in the role that they signed him to pitch in. And so I honestly won't be surprised if, say, Houston somehow picks him up or something, and they use him like they've always used him as a 7th, 8th inning guy, and he helps them make a playoff run. I won't be surprised if something like that happens. It won't. And if he has success with them too, I won't be surprised. The whole thing with Neris to me was all about the fact that they kept using him to close games. And I understood it after ALLCITY got hurt and was out. I understood it then because he was your most experienced reliever that you had and all this and that. But since June, you'd seen guys kind of emerge and you still kept using him despite the fact that he wasn't really being effective for you at all. And when he was, it was like you felt like you're going to pass out from a heart attack. Okay. But that's my big, if there's any negative things I have to say about Craig Counsell this year, that's probably my biggest thing, is that they just continue to keep using Neris in the 9th inning, despite how we saw some guys emerge over the last couple months. And it's not like Neris was pitching well enough to deserve those 9th inning opportunities. It was almost as if he's been this bad, so let's why not try someone else? I know that there was a section of time in there where he had gotten better, but he was still giving up a ton of hard contact. So that's just It is what it is.
Ryan is here. He could probably clarify this whole vesting option. Like, do the Cubs get out of 2025? Are they free of Neris forever? Are they done? Does that money come off the books? How's that all going to work out, Ryan?
Well, yeah, I believe they're clear of the option is no more for next year. Like, they don't have to worry about that. I mean, obviously, they're on the hook for the rest of this year's money.
Right.
And then if he gets picked up by a team, like, they probably sign him to the minimum salary, and then, then whatever, like, that amount is the minimum salary at this point in the year would come off the Cubs books. So it's probably more of like a small dollar amount that you're not really going to notice. But yeah, no, it's the Hector Neris era, as you guys said, in Chicago is over, on the north side of Chicago, at least. Yeah, I mean,
send him to the south side.
Okay.
Well,
you're right. Know. He could sign with the Sox.
You never know. No, I mean, I was surprised. Yeah, I mean, I was definitely surprised to see that news come out this morning. It was kind of just one of those things where, like for one, they didn't have to pitch him another 15 times or whatever it was for his option to vest. Like, they could have figured out a way not to do it. Maybe have gotten some rumblings of grievances from the Players Association, but there's probably ways they could have worked around it. But this was obviously a way to bring him off the roster, to do whatever. But obviously, talking to Jed Hoyer before the game today, they actually said that, or at least, he said that this decision didn't have anything to do with the option and the contract and whatever. I mean, that's what that's what he told us.
Was he smiling when he said it? Of course it did. I mean, I know it probably has to do with getting a longer look at Neely and why not, so you can make some decisions there. But come on.
Well, I mean, is he gonna say that they cut him so this option doesn't vest, and then they get some grievances from the Players Association? Of course not. That's just what he said, that it didn't. But they did make the point. They did make the point, as you said, like, they do want to get a longer look at Jack Neely, the guy they got for Mark Leiter Jr. at the trade deadline, a guy who kind of dominated AAA when he got to Iowa. He said that we talked to Neely before the game, and he said that he was like 5-10 minutes on the way to Toledo on the bus, and they had to stop the bus and turn it back around because he had to go back to Chicago to come up here, which is kind of funny. It's just the life of a minor leaguer, but. That was definitely a part of it. They want to get a look at Jack Neely. They want to see what they have in this guy, a guy they got for a reliever they felt really good about in Mark Leiter Jr., right? A guy they felt good about for a couple of years now. So, while I don't completely believe that the contract situation had nothing to do with it, I do think the Jack Neely part does play a part in that, and is going to be important for them for the next month plus. Is getting looks at him. They didn't get him in the game today, but definitely getting looks at him is going to matter.
Yeah, Neely 6'8", and 6 of that is the mustache, from what I understand. I've seen some photos. It's a very impressive mustache, and we know how those play out in Chicago very well. Always lead to championships, almost.
All I'm saying is, like, you can't have a mustache that good and suck. So if he sucks, he better shave the stash.
The mustache is awesome.
The stash, man. And then the fit that he showed up in to beautiful historic Wrigley Field today, I'm like, I'm starting to already talk myself into him being the closer. Like, this is this is like prime. Get the squirt gun out, Luke, like, or the squirt bottle. Like,
yep.
He showed up ready to impress. And he impressed with the look, the stash, hair looked pretty good. whatever. Now I just can't wait to see him pitch. You know they're not going to pitch him the first time in like a high leverage spot. So I would like the Cubs to score like 10 runs in a random game so we can see him pitch.
I'll call Javy home run off Neely before the series is over. Speaking of Javier, it was just a transition. That's really all that was, to be honest with you. Ryan, so what was it like at Wrigley Field tonight? Because we've seen other guys come back. Now, wait a minute. Javy didn't get a piece of the scoreboard. There was no, Bryant and other guys, they've given here's your number from the scoreboard and a flag.
Yeah, I don't think so. I didn't see that. I don't think that happened.
I think that should have happened, to be honest.
Maybe they'll do that.
Maybe
they'll do it
behind closed doors or before he leaves.
Yeah.
No, I think you can't really compare it to Chris Bryant. Obviously the Chris Bryant, Javy Baez, Anthony Rizzo all happened within 24 hours of each other or something like that. But you can't really compare it to Chris Bryant just because Chris Bryant's was so fresh. I think it was 6 weeks to the day that he got traded. He came back, had the big ceremony, all that stuff, and the place was packed for a Cubs Giants game. I think it was a little bit different today. We're 3 years out. The Tigers. It's not a great team. And Javy's obviously struggled with the Tigers, especially this year. So it didn't have all the makings of a huge event like Chris Bryant's felt like it was. But I will say the Cubs fans and Wrigley Field crowd did well by him. There was Javy chance, when he was on the field warming up and taking BP, there was Javy chance's first at-bat and all the other at-bats, got standing ovations and stuff like that. Nice video tribute from the Cubs. It was, again, I wouldn't say it felt like it was on the level of Chris Bryant, but it definitely did well to remind everyone who Javy Baez was when he was a Cub, because it feels like a lot of people have forgotten just based on his last 3 seasons, the way his last 3 seasons have gone. But Javy was one of the main tickets for this team for a while, and he was one of the reasons to watch this team for a while. Just outside of when you had that good run of good teams, he was a big part of it. His runner-up to the MVP year was amazing. Just barely lost to Christian Yelich, and he had a lot of good moments in Chicago or just wearing a Cubs uniform. The one that always pops in my head is that Pittsburgh game, the play in Pittsburgh. I think that's my favorite Javy play ever. But there's so many moments like that he's a guy that, despite the struggles the last few years in Detroit, earned the recognition and the return ceremony that was given to him. I would say that he earned that.
Do you guys think Rizzo's going to cry? I thought on that, I was watching that video and I thought if they keep this on Javy much longer, I know that when they showed him hitting the home run in Game 7, his face changed. That's all I can say. It was like he knew it was something and they were going to be showing him, and it was emotional, but he held back the tears. I thought he was going to cry. Do you think Rizzo will cry?
Maybe.
I mean,
well, I gotta say, will Rizzo even be here?
I hope so.
That's
I know,
I hope so. We got to take over, man.
It is a serious question because he hasn't even gone on a rehab. He hasn't gone on a rehab assignment yet. However, the last article I read, though, it said that they're expecting him back late August. So,
oh man,
I mean,
if he was on a rehab assignment,
that'd suck.
Instead of being there,
actually, in some ways, I'd rather it be that way because I'd rather him never come to Wrigley in another team's uniform. If it was up to me, it was only played at Wrigley in a Cubs uniform. If it was up to me, as much as I would love to see him come back, you get to experience the standing ovation, the tribute video, all of that, the vibe of all of that, the very first time. As much as I would like to experience that, I'd also it'd almost be like it'd be very telling. It'd be a great story to tell. He never played another uniform at Wrigley except for Cubs. That's it. But if he does actually come and play on September 6th, A, come to our takeover. B, I think it will be emotional. It'll be a lot more emotional than Bryant or Baez, in my opinion. He was here for 10 years. He was the leader and the guy who was part of the team that, all those bad teams. He was on the 2012 team that lost 100 games and then just like going through the rebuild and everything. He was the guy, like I think he was the most beloved Cub that was here. Like I would be surprised if there weren't more of an emotional pull from him than anyone else.
Ryan, any other? We only have like 4 minutes left because we're an hour now. We're on. I don't know if you know, we're on Roku. We're nationwide now, baby. So I want to. What other nuggets do you have for us, real quick, before we let you go? And I'm thinking now that we're on Roku, we should have some sort of decoration behind you at Wrigley. They just give you that plain wall. We should at least like get our logos. We should put one of our stickers in the background, and then you always sit there until they notice our stickers in their press box.
Yeah, no, I'm with that. But I mean, the only thing I was going to bring Javy back up, and I don't know if you guys showed the video. I tweeted it out earlier. Yeah. But yeah, like him saying like he probably thinks about the 2016 World Series every day. Like that's just another example of why that was so massive for this organization, for the city, Wrigley Field, all that, like how special that World Series was. That Javy Baez, who hasn't been on the team in 3 years, still thinks about it like every day, or says he does. He's talking about like being happy that the Cubs at least still have one 2016 guy on the team, and Kyle Hendricks. They were, chatting on the field pregame. I think a lot of the questions that were asked to Javy, I mean, obviously you had a few of him being asked like, what, about the struggles this season and even about 2021, the trade deadline, whatever. But I would say a majority of them were like tied back to that, like 2016, obviously the World Series, and like the 2017, 2015 NLCSs, and just the other parts of that run where it felt like obviously the World Series was the peak, but it felt like there could be more. Obviously, we didn't end up seeing any more than that, but it all kind of goes back to that. It goes back to this huge run, the golden era of Cubs baseball, as we say, and how big and important it was to the organization that, again, 3 years later, Javy Baez is still thinking about that all the time. And then that's what he's being asked about, because that's still the biggest part of the last however many years of Cubs baseball history.
He eats free and he drinks free every time he's in Chicago. That's all I know. The guy will never pay for another meal in the city of Chicago. That's
few of those guys will.
Okay, so we got Tyone, we got Steele, and as Cody said, gotta have a sweep. Got to go 5-1 this week to have a chance.
Yes, 5-1.
Ryan will be back out there tomorrow. We'll be back for a post-game show live after the game tomorrow. Again, a lot of the Roku stuff, most of the stuff is live on Roku. So if you're used to watching us on YouTube, you can still watch on YouTube. But if you got relatives that don't know how to use the YouTube, like me, now we can get them the Roku stick, Roku app, Roku box. And now they have a way to watch us nationwide. All your relatives around, even Cody's relatives in Southern Illinois can watch. That's not a shot. It is a shot. Okay, sorry.
Central Illinois, by the way.
Central Illinois. Listen, anything south of like
I know.
US cellular guaranteed rate. Anything south of that, Southern Illinois.
It's what people say. Yeah. I disagree, but whatever.
Southern Illinois.
However you want to feel. Cub how you want to Cub, Luke.
Okay. All right, I will.
Illinois how you want Illinois.
They ruin Javier Baez big celebration return, at least for him.
0-for-4.
But it was good for the Cubs and good for the fans. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast. We appreciate all of you. Thank you again. Check out that Roku page, and we will see you next time. Until then, fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.